All right, everybody, I'm back with another video. This time, I wanted to talk a bit about the mindset behind wealthy people that I know and people that may have a huge amount of income, but they actually end up struggling to pay their bills. Okay. So, this isn't some kind of cheesy thing where I say, hey, if you do affiliate marketing, you make a bunch of money, or if you do online whatever. Like, the main way people get wealthy is their mindset around wealth and how money works. Okay. Um, I have clients who have worked their entire career making, like 30, 40 grand, and they have more money than they could ever spend in their life. I have other clients who make a very, very high income and they, are struggling to figure out how they're actually going to be able to stop working, right? Because if you live your life thinking that you're always going to make $1 million a year, but you don't save any money, eventually there'll be nothing that will make you $1 million a year. So the mindset that wealthy people have is called, you can call it the future value of money or opportunity cost. But all I want to do in this video is just show you some examples of how thinking about the long-term value of the dollars you have today can change your behaviors and your mindset so that you're in a much better position going forward. And it also helps you make a lot of decisions. Like, let's say you get your first job and you're making good money, and you go, oh well, I'm gonna buy a Gucci bag, or I'm gonna get a new F-350 that's lifted and all done up, or I'm gonna go rent this baller apartment because it makes me feel good, right? Um, Human brains are set to wake up, survive, go to sleep, right? We're wired to just look at things in a very here and now point of view versus 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road. And it makes sense because that's really all we're supposed to do as mammals on the planet. But if you can change your mindset to a point where you're looking at the opportunity you're losing by spending that money today, it's pretty impactful. So I'll show you some examples here. All right. So the first example, one of the biggest things that happens, and I mean, there's things that I've done in my past where I really wish I knew more. But when I started to make some good money, I bought a new vehicle, right? And I had a GM Sierra 1500. It was like lifted, had big tires on it. Then, as I made some more money, I switched that to a Denali, and I got this Denali, and it had like leather, and it was all done up. And yeah, I mean, it was pretty cool. But um, now that I look back on it, it was a waste. It was all a waste. A vehicle's just a vehicle. I actually, when gas got bad, I traded it in for a little SUV, right? So, I got 3 or 4 years out of this thing. Not even that. I think it was 3 years. But the point of what I'm trying to say is here's an example of the opportunity cost of devoting a lot of money to a vehicle. And I know that people like to have a nice shiny vehicle. I'm not saying that you don't spoil yourself or reward yourself, but you have to realize that getting that, like, let's say, if for example is an F-150, going for like the platinum option where you have all these bells and whistles, you still have the same truck. Like, there's a difference between buying a truck and buying a statement, right? So this, for example, is a F-150. I just went to Ford Canada. It's the platinum version, so it's got a lot of bells and whistles. What we're looking at here is um, the cost for this vehicle, which is $89,360 with the fees and such, is a biweekly payment of $816 every 2 weeks over 60 months with a 7% interest cost. Okay. Um, the thing about vehicles is, on average, after 5 years, it loses around 60% of its value. Okay. So that means you're going to pay $89,000 for this new vehicle. And I got my handy dandy calculator here. We go 89,630 times 0.6. So that means it will lose $53,778 in value. 6, 360. So you'd be left with a vehicle that's, let's say, like 35 grand, right? Obviously, it's different for every vehicle. Some vehicles have higher staying power. Some vehicles have lower staying power or depreciation values. But the thing is, nobody's vehicle after 5 years of buying a brand new vehicle is worth more, um, unless it's some crazy situation where they've stopped making them and they're really good. But so anyways, that's going to cost $860, $816 biweekly. If we bring out our calculator, how you figure out what the monthly payment is on a biweekly is you take the payment biweekly, you times it by 26, and then divide that by 12. So in this case, for the whole year, you pay $21,216 for this Ford, and monthly it's $1,768. Biweekly means some months you'll pay an extra payment 2 months out of the year. But they usually just kind of trick people by making it biweekly to make it seem like it's less. So let's look at the cost of doing this versus getting the vehicle. Okay. So we go to our future value calculator and we say, all right, well, if instead of buying the F-150, we took that 1768 and put it into savings, right? That's monthly, so that's over 60 months, right? So same as the car payment, starting zero. Interest rate we can get pretty easily is 7%. Okay, and we're going to put 1768 in per period. So this future value calculator, you can use it for anything you want. It's free. All you do is periods is obviously the amount of months in this case. Actually, if the interest rate is going to be too high, so we have to take 7% and divide it by 12 because we only want the monthly amount that it goes up by. So that's 0.583. Okay. So if we calculate that, all right. So the opportunity cost of getting the Ford F-150 Platinum, okay, is the difference between what the vehicle is going to be worth. So we said it'd be worth about $35,000 when it's done, and what your money would be worth if you were investing that instead of paying down your truck. Okay. So you've given up close to about $90,000 by buying the F-150. All right. This is the way that you got to change your thought process to be like, it isn't just what you buy today or what you're using the money for right now, but if you're using it for an appreciating asset, you're taking away $90,000 from you in the future, right? So a lot of times when you talk about, and I mean, you can apply this to anything. Like, think about if you're, okay, so you want to live in a city, okay, so you have to pay an extra $1,000 of rent, right? And you're like, okay, well, that's not really a big deal because I can afford it. And by living in the city, I get to do the things I want to do with my life. Okay. But that extra $1,000 isn't just costing you $1,000 that month. You're losing the future value that $1,000 could be worth, right? This is the same for, anything. You could take over 5 years. Let's look at like a Gucci bag. So a designer handbag. I mean, these things are nuts, but I understand. Just like maybe a guy would want to have a Ford F-150 Platinum, or a girl, whatever, I don't care. Some humans would also like to have Gucci Horsebit 1955 shoulder bags for $4,145. Okay. I don't know how well Gucci bags hold their value, but I would assume that they're not worth the same amount in the future because they're still making more Gucci bags. But let's go over that same 5-year period. Okay. Let's say you bought, instead of buying that Gucci bag, you invested it. Okay. We're not adding anything to it. We're just saying if we started with 4,145 for 60 months and we made 7%, like we can actually just change that to years and change this to 7%. So it's easier. How much would that be worth? Okay. Well, calculate. So by buying the Gucci bag, you're giving up a future amount of money of $5,813. So even if this Gucci bag stays the same value forever, right? 5,813 minus 4,145, You've lost $1,668 over 5 years by buying the Gucci bag. Okay. I'm not saying you can't buy yourself a Gucci bag, but you don't have to buy 10, or maybe you get a used one, or you have to think of what you're giving up in the future. Let's say what's the opportunity cost of $4,145 over the next 40 years of your life, right? Calculate that. That Gucci bag costs you $62,069. You've lost that in the future over 40 years. You've lost $62,000 because you wanted to have a Gucci bag today, right? So that's all. I mean, it's not. I'm not trying to say that you can't buy things or reward yourself, but there seems to be this mentality in society where you need to figure out a way to make a ton of money, and then when you have that money, you deserve to have a Mercedes Benz, or you deserve to have a boat, or you deserve to have a mansion. Like, that's what you buy when you have a higher income. In reality, what you want to do is continue to make more money. Obviously, you want to have a career where you make a higher amount of income, but devote more of your money today into investments. And I've done other videos in terms of how to invest and what accounts to use and such, but so that in the future, you don't have to work anymore, right? If you're making $1 million a year and your lifestyle costs $900,000, or let's say $999,000, when will you ever stop working, right? It's all these get rich quick schemes where it's like, yeah, it's all about the here and now, but it's not talking about the future. And if you change your mindset to think about what every dollar represents to you at retirement, or every dollar represents to you when you're 20, or sorry, in 20 years, you'll be much better off. And the only last thing I wanted to say is it's important to know what is good debt and bad debt. Okay. So I talked about how, buying a Ford F-150 Platinum, there's a huge amount of opportunity cost to that. Now, if you are buying something like a house, right? So you're taking on payments, you're losing the future value of that money, but it's tied to an asset. That's fine, because you're going to end up with something that's worth more in the future. Okay. Another thing I say to people all the time is if you're investing in yourself. So if you're putting money into yourself so that you can create more income in some way, you got to think of yourself more as a business or a corporation. You are not just a mechanic or a carpenter. You are who you are today and the potential for what you'll be in the future. So if you're going to put money into yourself, into something that actually will increase your earning capacity, then that's different, right? That's you're investing in your future, so that makes sense. So anyways, I thought, I'm always trying to think of videos where I see things in my day-to-day life and it makes me go, hey, I bet this person would think about things differently if they knew this information. If there's things you want me to do videos about, leave a comment. I'm doing a whole bunch of videos. I probably will do 100 of these things. So if you want to subscribe and get notified when those go up, that would be awesome. I'll also link to Planswell. Like I said, as people decide to send me some info, I can do quick videos in terms of ways that we can help them out with their finances. Or like I said, if you just send it in and I look at it and I go, wow, you're on track, I'll do a quick video that says, hey, this is a person that's got their finances in order, and look how much they're going to retire with, right? But most times there's things I can tweak, but the main thing is that it's confidential. I'm a professional. I do this for a living. I've been doing this for 16 years. It's not a joke. It's not some kind of scam, but I really see that there's a lot of people that are missing this information that they need to become wealthy. And I have not seen a time in history where it looks like it's going to get harder and harder and harder for young people or people in their peak earning years to actually build their net worth and have a nice retirement. So hope that was interesting. Like I said, send me questions, do the Plans Wealth thing, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.